factors influencing the performance of contraction. It includes the muscle tension and shortening produced during muscle contraction, as well as the facility of producing the tension or shortening. In isometric contraction, the length of muscle remains unchanged with only an increase in tension. In isotonic contraction, the muscle shortens with the tension remains constant. The performance of contraction depends on the preload, afterload, contractility, and the summation of contractions. Preload, it is the force on the muscle prior to contraction. It determines the length of muscle before contraction or the initial length of muscle. In experiment, the preload can be expressed by initial length. As the preload increases, the initial length of the muscle increases and the ability of muscle to develop tension and shortening increases within limits. There is an optimal initial length at which peak tension will be developed. At length shorter or longer than this, developed tension decreases. This can be partially explained by the myofilament sliding theory. That is, at optimal initial length of muscle, the overlap of thick and thin filaments is greater, allowing the maximum number of cross-bridge to bind to acting thin filaments, producing maximal tension. Afterload, it is the force on the muscle during the contraction. The afterload determines the work that the muscle must do. In general, the lighter the afterload, the faster the muscle shortens, and the more it shortens. As the afterload is increased, the facility of the shortening and the amount of shortening decrease. The shortening facility is maximal when there is no load and is zero when the load is equal to the maximal isometric tension. If the afterload is greater than the muscle can lift, the muscle develops tension without shortening externally. Contractility. It refers to the inherent strength of the muscle and is independent of those. The increase in contractility results in increases in the amount of force, the rate of force development, the facility of the muscle shortening. It is determined by the calcium level in the sarcoplasma and the myosin ATPase activity. Many neurotransmitters, hormones, chemicals, and drugs have effects on muscle contractility by way of changing these processes. Summation. The summation of the contraction in skeletal muscle regulates the intensity of the contraction rapidly. Summation occurs in two ways. Multiple fiber summation. There is a way of increasing the force of muscle contraction. The motor neuron in the spinal cord innervates multiple different fibers. A motor unit includes a single motor nerve fiber and all muscle fibers innervate by it. When the central nervous system sends a weak signal to contract a muscle, the smaller motor units are excited before the large one. As the length of the signal increases, a larger motor unit begin to excite it as well, producing greater and greater force of muscle contraction. Frequency summation. A single action potential causes a brief contraction which is called a single twitch. With repetitive stimulus, the contraction mechanism is continuously activated and individual responses fuse into a continuously contraction, which is known as a tendinous or atonic contraction. It is complete tendinous when there is no relaxation between the contractions. It is an incomplete tendinous when there is a period of incomplete relaxation between contraction. That's all for today. Thank you.